Fine. Yeah. So we just discussed about what we have covered in the yesterday's session, right? So we started with denial of a service recap. Then we have learned few definitions related to what is information security, what is CIA triad, and then cybersecurity or cybersecurity basic fundamental terminologies, right? Now after that, we'll be now looking into today, we'll be learning about the penetration testing methodology, right? So this is very, very important. So this particular methodology we are going to learn practically in the upcoming sessions. First, now let's understand as a pen tester what we do, right? So what kind of different steps that we follow. Um, you know, so what all this penetration testing methodology is all about, right? So once we are good with this, we can apply this penetration testing methodology for any sort of assessment that you guys are involved in. It could be network, it could be application or API, cloud, or whatever the penetration testing it is, right? So it first with it first starts with the planning. Okay, so where uh, we'll be discussing about the scope and objective of the pen testing. Once the scope and objective is finalized, we do the information gathering about the target. So the main objective of doing this information gathering is to understand the target, like what technologies are being used, um, you know, what front end language, like stack, related to stack details, I can say, right? Front end, server side, back end, operating system technologies, and then absolutely for identifying the vulnerabilities. So once we identify the vulnerabilities, we exploit them. We also do post exploitation, and then we create the reporting part. Okay, so I'm going to cover the same thing over here in a step by step, right? So so let's start with first, as I said, planning and preparation. This is the first phase, and then we have the information gathering and reconnaissance. It's like gathering the information about the target, and then we do the vulnerability identification, right? As a pen tester, this is very, very important, right? The more vulnerabilities you find, uh, the I can say the ROI will be good to them. I mean, because when someone is giving you to perform the penetration testing, what they expect you is basically they expect you to identify the vulnerabilities. That is what the ROI that they can expect on the money what they are spending for the penetration testing. And then, of course, not only identifying the vulnerabilities, okay, we will actively exploit those vulnerabilities to see whether those vulnerabilities can be actually exploited or not. That is what the exploitation is all about. And then we also do the post exploitation to see maybe till what level we can able to penetrate or access what are the different things which we can able to perform once we get into the system, like the main thing like confidentiality, integrity and availability part, because according to these three information security elements, right? We have seen that the CVSS score calculation, we are using this particular parameters. I mean, the more you were able to, maybe damage the system or control the system. Let's say if you can able to access every information in the system, like the confidentiality high, if you can able to modify everything. Okay, let's say you have the administrator privileges, right? So integrity is high, and if you can able to delete it, right? And that is availability is also high. So mostly in post exploitation, I mean, whenever you heard something called as a post exploitation, which means that we are already inside the system. After getting into the system, maybe trying to take or trying to elevate yourself to a administrator or a root user, because once you have those access, you will be able to do whatever you want in the system, right? So those kind of activities we do it in the post exploitation. And then we have the reporting part. Okay, this is what the final phase. I can say the reporting we can create it using the manual approach, or maybe the tools whatever we are going to use in upcoming sessions, right? The penetration testing automation approach, which is called as a DAST, dynamic application security testing, or static application security testing. So those tools will also generate the automated reports. We can download them in the required formats. But the thing is, we have to spend our time in terms of verifying whether those vulnerabilities are valid or not. Okay, there could be some kind of a false positive issues also. As I said, when it comes to penetration testing, the best way is to identify the issues, verify the issues is using the manual approach, because every penetration testers will have a different knowledge or different methods, different tools, okay, uh, to break into the system. So yeah, the best approach I can say is manual approach, because automated tools will only cover, I think, 50 to 55% of the vulnerabilities. They are not enough mature to understand which is a critical information, or which is not sensitive information, or they don't even help us to perform some kind of a business logic related test cases, right? That's the reason mostly we do manual testing. Here also I'm going to teach you the manual approaches only when it comes to penetration testing. And the reporting part, once the reporting is done, the reporting itself, we will give them all the remediations to them. Okay, this is a vulnerability, this is how I have identified it, and this is a solution for it that you guys have to implement it, right? Once this is done, okay, we share the reports with the team, which is, let's say, the owner of the application or owner of the asset. So they work with the patch management team, or I can say if it is an application, they work with the development team. Once they apply the fixes, again they will come back to us saying that, hey, the reported issues have been fixed over here. Okay, the reported issues have been fixed over here. Maybe you can quickly perform a retesting, right? You can quickly perform the retesting to see maybe if those vulnerabilities are still existed or not, right? So this is the high level part, I can say, right? Clear? So we'll discuss about each and every phase in a detailed way. Okay, starting from planning and preparation to doing the reporting and remediation retesting. So first, what happens, right? The first thing what happens is, okay, initially a client, maybe let's say if you're working for a service-based organization, you might be getting a client. Okay, so he will explain you about the requirement. Correct. Okay, I wanted to maybe perform the uh, maybe I wanted to perform the penetration testing on a network or an application. He will give you the scope to you, right? So according to the scope, maybe upper level management will I can say they they discuss about the uh, purchasing order. The SOP will be signed. Once it is done, it will come to you. So once it is, the project is confirmed, right? So what we do, we understand the scope. Okay, what are the things that we are going to cover over here, right? So we understand the scope. So if the scope is clear to you, I think you're good to start the assessment, right? And then objective, why they are going for the pen testing, right? Is it a part of the product release, or are they doing it for the compliance part, or did they already maybe faced any kind of incidents related to maybe data breaches or hacks, and that they wanted to maybe verify it. They have their own objective, correct? So we need to understand that what is the exact scope and what is the objective, and then we need to obtain the necessary permissions through email, not verbally. right? So we are going to perform this engagement on this scope from starting from so and so date to so and so date, and we are going to use the so and so team members involved in this activity. Likewise, we exchange all the necessary information in the planning and preparation phase, right? We assemble the testing team. We ask the certain questions to them, like, hey, could you please, if it is an application, could you please, help us to give a quick demo, or maybe provide the point of contact details to whom I have to contact if in case if if something is not working as expected, right? So like this kind of information we will be first, you know, uh, taking from them. Even I have certain questionnaires I can provide you. What are the different questions that you guys have to ask the client, right? So, do you have any firewalls or any kind of a security system monitorings that are going to block our IP address when we are doing this assessment? What type of assessment that they want us to do it? White box or gray box or maybe black box. According to that, the questions are different. I can explain that in a minute. Okay. So this is the first phase, right? Where we discuss about the planning and preparation, right? So we gather all the tools, we create the test environment, or we use their own test environment, kind of a things. Once it is done, okay, once the scope is clear and once we have a clear understanding of what we are targeting, so we starts with the information gathering, right? See, uh, this is very very important phase. Information gathering is very very important phase, because the more information you have, it is very easy for you to perform the attack and choose the right exploits, correct? So if it is black box testing, okay, if it is black box testing where they are not going to provide any sort of a details to you, you have to gather the information yourself. Okay, you can maybe look into the who is lookup records, perform the technology lookup, DNS enumeration, look for all the public records, or use something called as a OSINT technique, open source intelligent gathering technique. Okay, which is like gathering all the publicly available information, yeah, which is available to anyone, because that information might be hosted themselves into the internet, right? Because nowadays whatever you interact with the internet, that will get stored somewhere, some or the other place in the internet. Okay, so if that is the case, of course attackers will try to look into those kind of sources to gather the technology details. If we have an access, or maybe let's say if you are doing the white box testing or gray box testing, they will only provide you all the information for us. Okay, you can directly ask them what the technologies are being used, okay, how the connections are going on, okay, where is the firewall, what side of a firewall it is, right? So they will only provide the information, like we are using maybe JavaScript or PHP or these operating systems, this particular libraries and frameworks, okay, kind of a thing. Okay, that's fine. That is related to application. When it comes to maybe network, okay, it starts with host discovery. I mean, when they have given the server IP address to you, or a list of IP addresses for you to perform the assessment, right? The first thing what we do is we see whether it is reachable or not. It's called as a host discovery scan. Okay, what is it called as a host discovery scan? We ping or we probe the target and we observe if the target is responding to us or not. If it is not responding, if it is not reachable to you, I mean, which means you cannot go further and you cannot perform any kind of assessment on it. If the system is not connected to internet and if it is not reachable to you, is it possible to perform this assessment, guys?
Yeah, I think yes, if we steal that system.
No, if it is only reachable, then only you can go ahead, right? If it is not reachable to you, how can you able
But,
to?
but if we are in some like performing this kind of security testing in our local environment where all the systems are connected through LAN or something?
Okay, in that case also you need to first see, right, whether you have the uh, you know reachability or not.
Mm,
Okay, maybe let's say there is an internal firewall which is blocking, or maybe if the system is only accessible through VPN, it is not possible, right? So first we will check if it is reachable or not, or else we'll contact them telling that it is not reachable. Maybe, do I need to whitelist my IP address, or do I need to connect to some sort of network, a separate network, or maybe VPN to access it, right? Once it is done, right? Once it is done, we go for the other steps, like we perform port scanning, service detection, we do enumeration, OS detection, all of these things, right? I'm just giving it a high level, but every step which I'm talking over here, right? We are going to do it in a practical way, okay, in our own local system. This is just to make you understand the process that, the methodology that we use it, and the process that we follow, right? So once this is done, right? Once the information gathering is done, you will have enough information about the target. So we look for the vulnerabilities. Okay, we look for the vulnerabilities. So when it comes to network, we rely on mostly automated tools to perform the network vulnerability scans. Okay, we have the tools like Nessus, Qualys, Rapid7. Okay, depending on what tools are subscribed or owned by the client, we are going to use the same sort of tools to perform this vulnerability scans on the network. Application, the best approach, as I said, manual, but even we can also use the same tools to perform the dynamic application security scans on it, right? So once we identify the vulnerabilities and once we're done with the prioritizing all the vulnerabilities, the next step is exploiting, right? So sometimes you have to create your own exploit. Let's say if you identified that uh, there is an injection attack related to SQL injection. So you need to write the basic payloads of the injection, or you need to maybe take the payloads from the different available sources. That is what the basic exploit development. Once the exploit, or maybe if you can find the exploit in the internet also, you can go and take it and run it against the target. And once you do the exploitation, it gives you the access to the target system. Okay, that is gaining the access. And post exploitation comes under the privilege escalations. I think I have to modify that over here. Privilege escalations comes under the post exploitation actually, right? So in post exploitation, it's like after getting into the system, after breaking into the system, okay, maybe we see till what level we will be able to penetrate into the system, what sort of a sensitive data that we can able to access it, or maybe as an attacker's point of view, they also try to install some sort of a malwares in the same system after compromising it to maintain the persistent connection. Okay, whenever they wanted to access, they will be able to access it. Maybe if they wanted to convert your system as a bot, which they can use it to perform maybe other sort of an attacks like denial of a service attack. Yeah, of course they can use our system, right? So this is what comes under the post exploitation. Once it is done, identification of vulnerability, exploitation, and post exploitation, we capture every step with the screenshots, and we create the detailed report with all the recommendations and providing the executive summary and all. Okay, so yeah, mostly we create a technical report, right? By including all the details about the description, severity, where it is affected, what is the impact of the vulnerability, and proof of concept. Okay, the steps that we have used to uh, perform the attack or identify the attack, so that even when the developer or the managers, okay, who is reading this report, when they wanted to replicate in their environment, they'll be able to do it, right? I mean, of course, report writing, should be in a very easier language, and everyone should able to understand. Okay, whomever the report is basically shared with or reading, even if it is not technical person, not from the security background, also they should be able to understand this report, because we use a lot of technical terms, correct, in security. Some of the developers might not be aware of it, right? So you have to write the report in a way that everyone, okay, will understand. Everyone should understand it in a general English, okay, by giving the proper recommendations to them according to their environment, whichever fits to them. We can give the certain remediations to them. Even if they have any questions, right, on the remediations part, they will come back to us and we can have a quick discussion and we can tell them, okay, which approach would be suitable for them according to their environment. So mostly this executive summary report is like kind of a dashboard report, telling all the key findings and the numbers, kind of a thing. Mostly managers are interested in it, right? And then, as I said, we do the remediation. Once the remediation is done, they will fix it. The patch management team or the development team. Once the fixes are rolled out, again it comes to us for the retesting. Okay, the retesting comes under the post engagement activity, I can say. We can also schedule a call by telling them, hey, these are all the different vulnerabilities that we have identified, with quick meeting, and we can wrap up. And we can tell them, if any point of a time, if you have any questions, get back to us. Right. Okay. These are all the various steps that we have it in the pen testing. Correct. From the planning and preparation to remediation and retesting. Right. Each and every step, again, we are going to break down and we are going to discuss it in a detailed way. Okay, this is now, like, I can say, high level. Correct. I can give you in a step what we do, what sort of a tools we use it, what kind of a discussion we will have it, kind of a thing. Suppose, let's say, we have a planning and preparation. In planning and preparation, what questions we ask them, what is our objective, how do we identify the test boundaries, right? What are the legal considerations that we need to check? What is the rules of an engagement? How do we coordinate with the team? Okay, how do we perform the risk assessment? Okay, what sort of a tools we use it? Who is going to provide this environment? So likewise, this is first step. Similarly, information gathering, right? What is information gathering? What is the difference between passive and active? Which one I have to go when? Okay, then we'll start with the different approaches of information gathering. Okay, with tools, each and every information gathering technique and the remediations. Okay, different tools. Some of them are I'll show you the practical, and some of them I can give you the assignments to you, right? So likewise, I have designed this course, okay, by following all the real-time scenarios, right? We will discuss it in the upcoming sessions. Okay, now comes uh, types of penetration testing. Okay, so we have three different types of penetration testings, which is black box pen testing, white box, and the gray box pen testing. So what is black box pen testing? See, black box pen testing is like in hacker, like assume that a real hacker, okay, who is working for some organization, attacking on their systems or a network or an application as an outsider. Okay, that is what the black box testing is all about. I mean, they don't provide you any sort of a knowledge to you. They will tell you this is what your target is, XYZ company. You, as a hacker sitting outside their um, outside in the internet, you have to start the information gathering. Then you need to identify all the assets, check what all the vulnerabilities are there, right? And see if you can able to exploit and create a report like an outsider, right? Because the black box testing involves testing the systems with no prior knowledge of the internal workings of the network or an application. The tester simulates an external attack by a hacker who has no access to the source code or internal architecture, documentation, or network knowledge. No, right? Like an attacker, let's say now I am targeting so and so company with their permissions, but they are not providing any sort of information to me. That is what the black box pen testing is all about. Because even the company also wanted to see themselves in terms of security, what sort of a security posture that they have, okay, from the external point of view, right? So they do the black box pen testing, right? Because it mimics the real world attack scenario. And no bias, it's like testers lack of knowledge prevents the assumption about the system security, right? They are performing the simulating the attack, or they're performing the attack like a real world scenario or real world hacker. But this is going to take a lot of time, okay, uh, because you know um, because of the organization size, I can say. So what we used to do is, in our organization, when we are doing the black box penetration testing, um, once we collect all the information about the target, let's say an organization has 50 different servers which are exposed to the public. So group of 5 members, what we used to do is we used to split the 10 different targets among us, and then we used to work on it. Okay, so it's a time consuming process, I can say. It requires more time to discover the vulnerabilities due to lack of information, and sometimes, and also it incomplete coverage may miss vulnerabilities that are only visible with the internal knowledge. Because if you take an example of a web server, and there is a firewall in front of it, okay. So when you're trying to probe that server from the outsider, because of the firewall rules, you might only able to access port number 80 and 443, even though there are other ports which are running in the server. So those kind of internal knowledge about the systems or vulnerabilities will not be covered over here. It is just like, as an outsider, if I want to see what is the security posture, okay, stance, um, I can go for the black box testing, right? And then we have white box testing. What is this white box testing is? Um Here, attacker will be having all the knowledge about the network or systems, um, everything, even source code also. When you are working on the application, architecture, design, data flow diagrams, network connections, domains, IP ranges, firewalls, okay, they will provide you all the information to you when it comes to white box testing, right? So it allows for a in-depth analysis of the system, right? When you have everything in the place, so it really good for you to understand, okay, how the application is designed, and how the data is getting transmitted from the one system to another system, how they are handling it, what is the application logic that they have written, okay, what sort of a firewalls are there, what sort of a rules are there, everything, right? It is more efficient because you have the more knowledge about the infrastructure before you attack, right? It will also not consume, I can say, more time, right? We can finish it off. Then we have a gray box testing. So gray box testing is like, I can say, it's a combination of white box and black box testing. When I say white box, see, black box where they are not giving any sort of information to you. Black box, sorry, white box, they are giving complete knowledge about, okay, uh, the complete knowledge about the infra or assessment. Black box, they are not giving any sort of a knowledge to you, correct? So gray box is combination of white and black box testing. So here they will only provide you the partial knowledge of the system, okay, which might be include some sort of architecture diagrams or limited resources. They might not give you the source code access to you, okay. They might tell you only what sort of technologies that are being used, how the data is getting transmitted, okay. So they give you the partial information access to you because it is a balanced approach. It you know it concentrates. I mean, it gives you more benefits of both like black box and white box testing approaches. It is more effective because um, we are covering white box and more information than the black box testing because we cover everything over here. And most of the pen testings, right, which I have seen and which I have worked on, and the kind of requirements which comes from the various clients is, I can say more than 90% of the things are gray box pen testings because it's a balanced approach. We can finish it off, in the expected timeline, and it is covering two different approaches: white box and black box, right? So it's, I can say, uh, yeah, more than 90%. I have seen that many people are going for the gray box testing only, right? So which one to choose, right? Choosing the right type of a penetration testing, of course, it is depending on their um, depending on their objective, right? If their objective, or if the objective is very clear, maybe if already, let's say, white box testing is done, uh, they are maybe, I mean, white box testing mostly happens when the product is in the early stage, let's say in the development stage, right? Let's say developer is writing, or maybe, network architecture is, designing the network. So there they implement or involve the security person to maybe, identify the issues in the early stage, so that they will not be going to the next stage. Correct. Gray box testing, maybe once the product is done, by providing the partial access to the tester, they do it as it is a balanced approach. But once the things are done, okay, I mean, once the product is live in the internet, and when they wanted to see as an outsider, so they go for the black box testing. So mostly that is given for the third party people, because if you're working for the company, uh, if you are only involved in doing the white box assessment and gray box assessment, you will have the same view on the application, right? For that, they mostly go for the outsiders. They can give it for the contract to perform the black box testing, right? So testing objective and also available information. Consider how much information you can or are willing to share with the testers. Maybe if you're hiring a pen tester from the outside, we will be not uh, ready to maybe, give all the information to them, source code and all, right? So in that case, black box or gray box is a balanced approach that we can use it. If someone is who is dedicatedly working for us, internal employee, we are not, really think of, before I mean, before giving the information to him or source code him, we don't really think much. But if you're giving to an outsider, definitely secondary consideration comes into the place, right? And realism, decide if you want to simulate a real world attack scenario, or focus on thorough internal testing, depending on what you wanted to focus, depending on what sort of resources that you have, you can choose uh, you know the approach accordingly, right? In summary, black box is a external attack with the no prior knowledge of the system. White box involves thorough internal testing with a complete knowledge of the system. A gray box is a balanced approach with partial information, right? So each type of a testing has its own advantages and disadvantages, and then choice depending on your specific needs and objectives can be changed, right? So you will also get such type of requirements. Okay, we would like to go for the black box testing. So you need to only go and ask them, hey, give me the target. That's it. Don't provide any sort of information to them, right? If they want to go for the gray box testing, okay, you can contact them. Don't ask maybe the source code or network architecture or any sort of critical information. Maybe you can ask them a demo of the application. um, Ask them certain questions related to, various functions which they have added in the application. ask them to give couple of different users their credentials to test what users have what sort of a permissions, okay, kind of a thing. Then white box to complete, they are going to involve you from the day one, right? They can also give you the source code access to you. They'll tell you what libraries are used, everything, right? Clear?
Yes, Sai. So, Sai, in the white box testing,
Hmm.
with the knowledge, the testing will be perform better than the black box, right? But I don't understand. In the gray testing is better than the white box testing. In the
See,
gray box, yeah,
please complete.
yeah. In the gray box testing, with half knowledge, we are performing, right? But in the
Hmm.
white box testing, we are testing with the full knowledge, internal knowledge. So I'm not getting it.
Okay. See, I'll tell you. I'll just make you understand with an example, right?
Okay.
You are developing your own product, okay?
Okay.
You're spending so much money on that product. Your developers and architectures are writing that product, right? And
Okay.
if the pen tester is your internal employee, okay, so do you think before granting the access to the source code to him,
No.
you can directly give the source code access to him because he's working for you, and the source code and everything is under control of you. You can just grant the access to him whichever the things is required to you. But let's say if
So
the
the
same pen test, sorry.
yeah, yeah, go no no go ahead.
So if the same pen testing, white box pen testing, let's say if you're planning to give it to uh, an external vendor,
Outsider. Okay.
outsider. So it is like you're only going and giving the your product source code, like keys to them, right?
Okay. It's like a threat to
Security
giving.
concern.
Yeah.
They
Yeah.
don't want it. To,
Security
they
concern.
don't want it. They don't want to give their because they spend so much money on it. Okay,
Okay.
and if they are going and putting that product in someone else's hands, it doesn't make any sense,
Okay. Okay. Got your point now.
right? Yeah,
So in the gray box testing, only the minimal information they provide, but in the
yeah,
white box, all the information. Okay.
yeah, yeah. So
Got your
in the
point
gray
now.
box testing, for an example, they can tell you, hey, maybe, okay, only focus on this particular application. This
Okay.
application is running with so and so technologies, and this has so many users and so and so functionalities. That's it. You know, they can give you a point of contact details to you, and they'll ask you to go and test it like a
Okay.
user.
So yeah.
Yeah.
So this black box and the gray box testing is performed by the outsider.
No, even internal
Um,
people also can do it. Okay,
okay.
internal people also
Okay.
can do it. It is not
Okay.
like I've just given that example for you to
Ex
connect to the
oh,
things.
okay. Okay. Okay.
Even if you're working for a client, XYZ client, okay, will he agree to share that to the internal employee? No. There are a lot of
No.
things comes into it.
Yes.
Right? So that's the reason I'm telling you, depending on the kind of approach that they wanted to use it, they can use it. Okay.
Okay.
So gray box testing is, see, white box testing will cost you more. Okay, because
Okay.
they have to cover a lot of things. They have to scan source code, they have to review the architecture, design, maybe they have to work on threat modeling. A lot of things are in place. So it is definitely expensive and time taking.
Time cake. Yes.
Okay. So gray box testing is maybe will cover both the approaches in a balanced way, and it is less in terms of cost. It is less, and time also
Yes.
less. If you have more time, okay, and depending on time, money,
Source.
yeah. So yeah, correct, right? So they
Okay.
choose it. So according
Okay.
to that, yeah.
Yeah, I thought that these three testing are test perform within the group, sorry, within the company, within the project.
Yeah, requirements comes, okay,
Mm-hmm.
with maybe white box or black box or gray box. Okay. Uh, yeah, when the requirement, let's say black box pen testing, you need to understand that okay, these guys are wanted us to evaluate their security posture like an outsider. They
Okay.
will only give you the IP address or list of IP ranges or company name. They don't provide you anything. As an attacker, you only need to start your attack like a real hacker.
Yes.
It's
Yes.
it's like that. Okay.
Okay.
White box and gray
Yeah.
box. Here they'll give complete knowledge. Here they can give you the partial knowledge to you.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. Got your point. Thanks.
Yeah. Right. So if you guys are, I hope this is clear to you, right? Um, and and every step, as I have shown you the various slides. So we'll discuss, where do we apply, what sort of a questions we ask in the each phase from the next session onwards, and we'll slowly start the uh, practical, things also. I think I hope most of you have completed your enrollment. I think by today, end of the day, or maybe tomorrow, they will create the WhatsApp group, right? So once it is done, yeah, we will. I mean, I can again, speak to you individually, then help you to set up the lab. From there, we can start the actual practical examples.
Okay. So for the installation part, you are guiding one-on-one or in the in this class only?
No, in this class only, one-on-one, it is not possible.
Yeah.
So I can ask someone to do the screen share, and I can take the system access using the
Okay.
GoToMeeting. Then I can give you the notes, running notes to you, like step one, step two, step three. You guys can
Okay.
follow here in the same session, or maybe after the session, you can do and complete it. If in case if someone got stuck somewhere, if they have any questions, you can raise then and there, and we can close that.
Okay. So that part is going to tomorrow or today?
No, not today. Okay,
Okay.
that will be in the next session once everything is confirmed. So we can, yeah.
Oh, okay.
Cool. I'll just stop the recording over here.